There was a time though that I thought, this is the worst thing ever. I have ruined my life. What have I done? My anxiety had gotten so much better, and I didn't even realize it until we traveled up to my brother's house, which is about a 6-hour drive. And sometimes when we would travel to and from, most times, I would be very anxious the day before, thinking about, the traffic patterns, and specifically if we were going to go a certain way, if we were going to go to 40 to 65, those are, and then down through Nashville, I would start thinking about it a couple of days before the trip. And I realized in early April when we drove up there, I had not been thinking about it. And during the drive, riding and then on the drive, I was not nearly as nervous as of a rider that I normally was. And that was when I started to think about, has my anxiety gotten better or has it lessened? And I always have anxiety in the evenings, at nighttime, after everybody's in bed and, falling asleep. I stay up to read, and I'll be reading, and then I'll think all of these what if statements. What if this happens? What if this happens? And they just would be, swirling in my head, and then I wouldn't be able to sleep well. And the same thing in the morning, I would wake up, and if I didn't see the kids, before they went to school, well, what if this happens on their way to school? And it would just plague me, and it was with me all the time. And I didn't realize how much anxiety I had until prior to that, until I started thinking, like, every third and fourth thought was a what if this doom and gloom. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And I realized that I have not been having, I used to drive my husband crazy. Well, what if you get into a car accident? Well, what if this happens? Well, what if, and he would just, he'd try to be patient with me, but he'd also say, you can't live our lives, with what if, can't keep that from holding us back from doing things. And it had just been such a part of my internal dialogue for years. I can remember, having trouble with this when I was 16, 15. And I tell my friends, you're going to drop me off. Wait till I get up to the house, inside the house, and I'll flick the light so it's okay to leave me, because what if something had happened? What if this, that has gotten so much better. I'd say it's 80% improvement, less, anxious thoughts. I still have a little bit of anxiety, it's not perfect. I'm not completely healed or normal. Well, normal, you know what I mean? I'm not completely anxiety free, but now if I do have an anxious thought, my heart doesn't start to race. I don't have such a physical response to it either. And I can, say, okay, well, what if this happens? Okay, that's, maybe that'll happen. I can reason with myself and get out of it, because my anxiety, like especially in the car riding on long trips, it would paralyze me. Dale and I'd be having a conversation, and I would be over there, constantly. And then he would try to talk to me, just have a conversation, and I wouldn't even be able to really, converse with him. So that has gotten much better. My headaches, I have always been a person that has a lot of headaches, and that is not completely gone. I still have been having headaches occasionally. Sometimes I can pinpoint, why I'm having a headache. If it's, allergies, I still have a little bit of, allergy issues going on with headaches and some like throat clearing. But it's very, high. It's the height of pollen season where I live in West Tennessee. So, and I'm surrounded by trees and beautiful nature, which I love. So I'm still having some headaches, but they have improved probably 75%. I don't have them nearly as often, and they're more manageable. Sometimes I can manage them without, taking over-the-counter medicine, and sometimes I do have to take something to get, you know, to have the headache pass. But I just try to drink my electrolytes, my element, which try to drink electrolytes and stay hydrated, and notice if, you know, is it something, am I hungry, or am I, you know, a little bit low on electrolytes, and then I'll drink element. I drink the raw unflavored element. Another issue that I kept having that was starting to worry me was it wasn't apnea, but when I would fall asleep, it was like I'd wake up and have to clear my throat, which I think that's a sign of, you know, like, I don't know if it's reflux or GERD or whatever, but it's some kind of esophageal issue. And it was concerning me because I'd wake up thinking I wasn't breathing and have to clear my throat because it felt like, you know, I had some mucus in there or whatever. I like to give you a really good visualization. But I was doing that, waking up. While I was also taking in a Pepsid every night. For months, I had taken a Pepsid every night, and I was still having that issue. So now I haven't taken Pepsid for, you know, 3 months, and I'm not having that issue. Now, I do still have a little bit of congestion occasionally. Again, that goes along with the allergies, but I'm not having, you know, the reflux or whatever. That just was really worrying me. I thought, you know, why am I feeling like I can't breathe, or like I have to clear my throat? So that has improved. That's probably improved 90%. 100%. I don't have that anymore. So my skin has always been what I have always thought was sensitive, where like if I go out into the sun and I get hot, not a sunburn, but like hot, my skin would get red. My face was, you know, I've always had some issues with, especially the last 10 years, with rosacea, and it runs in my family. And then discoloration along my jawline, which I think is like a brown patches, you know, not probably hormonal or whatever. And I just thought, okay, it's from, you know, getting older and hormone balancing and imbalancing. And I have a diagnosis of rosacea, which is considered autoimmune. But my rosacea is 95% gone. Now I do have a little bit of a redness to my nose sometimes, but you know, I've been eating, that could just be because, you know, I'm not 100% healed after years and years and years of eating, you know, a lot of junk, not much protein, that kind of thing. You know, my skin issues don't clear up overnight. Another thing is, if I ever got any kind of treatments done to my face, like what I mean is like waxing. I did have my eyebrows waxed today, and my eyebrow area would be swollen and red for like an hour and a half. And I got it done today, and I didn't even have any after she took the strips off. I would get these like small, tiny, like hives, but they would be teeny tiny, and they would itch, and they'd be so red, and I'd scratch and scratch and scratch them, and then they would just go away. I would get those around my lips a little bit, on my forehead. Sometimes I'd break out into a little bit of a rash around where I had my, you know, eyebrows waxed. I'd get them along my cheek, just, you know, they weren't, you know, it wasn't acne. It wasn't like traditional acne or what you would think about, but I get those on my arms and on my legs also, and I have not, that has gotten much better. Another really strange thing that I was having, and then I finally associated it, like in January, I noticed every time after I washed my hair and would comb it out, like I would use a pick, and I'd pick, as I'm doing that, my legs would start to itch, like all over them. And it wasn't an itch that I could scratch. It was more like, almost like an itchy skin crawling sensation, and I just have to rub them every single time I wash my hair. And because I was combing through my hair, it was something to do with, you know, my scalp or something. I don't know. The same thing with walking. If I go, not anymore, but if before, when I go walking or in the cold, walking in the cold, my legs would get red and start to itch and they tingle. My legs would start itching when I laid down at night. And I do think that those tingling, itchy sensations, I do think that has something to do with like a histamine intolerance. I'm not saying that that's, you know, I think that's also another symptom and not the root cause. So anyway, all of that is gone. I don't have that at all now. I don't have itchy legs at night. I don't have them after, you know, when I'm combing my hair or when I'm walking. And I've been walking every day. And it's been kind of cool in the mornings. So, you know, when I'm walking, or in the evenings when I'm walking. So it's been the similar situations, but I don't lay in bed at night thinking these anxious thoughts with itchy legs. And I'm glad, because that can be pain. That can be just a constant feeling, constantly, you know, just out of whack. So those have improved. So my overall health is better. Inflammation is down. Bloating, like my wrists, because I wear this Fitbit Versa for my steps. My wrists, I can tell that I'm not retaining fluid. You know, my stomach, I was retaining a lot of fluid and bloating in my stomach, even all the way up to like my rib cage, and all of that has, you know, is gone. Overall, I feel a lot better. I also realize now how many years I had been just kind of, you know, living with depression. You know, I knew I had a little bit of, I don't want to say not clinical depression, but some depression. And now, you know, I get excited about things. I want to do things. I don't want to just stay home and, you know, watch stream shows all day. There were lots of times that that's all I wanted to do. And I didn't want to be bothered by, you know, family. You know, I was using it kind of as an escape because I was just low level depressed, and I don't really feel like that anymore. I get excited. I like to sit outside. I just feel better. One of the biggest improvements is that I do have food freedom. I don't have cravings. If I do think that I want something, I think about it. Like, I've gone through many holidays. By this time, I've several holidays, birthdays, wedding shower, you know, celebrations, pre-wedding celebrations, social interactions. You know, I've gone out to eat with family, and everyone's eating. You know, I got lots of sweet treats last week from my job, and I can look at that stuff and not eat it, you know, not even want to eat it. I don't crave them. I don't crave alcohol. I can watch people, you know, on TV drink. That would usually, I'd be like, oh, they're having, you know, they're drinking. I'm gonna, you know, I want to drink a glass of wine too. I don't even think about it. I don't even notice it when people are drinking. I never think about drinking wine anymore, which you know, that surprised me. But the food freedom, I would be so almost resentful because I'd have to think about, you know, what are we going to have for dinner, and grocery, and I hate meal planning, and I don't really love to cook, and then my kids don't want to eat it, or that doesn't sound very good, or what. I don't have any of that anymore. Just eat a few things, and then the kids help me, you know, this is what we want, Mom. Okay, I can get this, and then they have things that they eat, you know, have at it. So, and like I said, I don't crave any kind of sugar, and I don't crave carbs. Now, if I think about, oh yeah, pizza sounds good, am I ever going to have pizza again? And then I think, oh, but I don't crave it. It's wild. It's the wildest thing. So This has given me a lot of food freedom and has alleviated a lot of the pressure I felt every single day when, you know, people would be like, my family would be like, you know, I'm hungry, what can we eat, what's for dinner, what's for lunch, what's for breakfast, and it just was always weighing me down, and I don't have that feeling anymore. I do batch cook, or, you know, I do meal prep a little bit now. It's not like I have much of it, but I do like to make a lot of bacon and eggs now that I have reintroduced bacon, and it's working out well for me. And then I do, you know, eggs and that kind of thing. So food freedom has been a big number one, top 5 benefit of eating carnivore. Some challenging things that I have dealt with are, you know, the social aspect. Telling people, you know, this is what I'm doing, you know, I'm going to eat this way for about 90 days, whatever. And, you know, answering questions, you know, feeling like I'm going to be a weirdo and I'm going to be an outcast why are you only eating, you know, beef, steak, and, you know, is that even good for you? These were the thoughts that I would have. And so the social aspect of it has not been difficult to navigate, but I was concerned, you know, how is my family, how are my friends going to react when I tell them? And everybody's been like, they just don't care. It doesn't matter. You know, on the flip side of that, I don't care what they're eating or not eating, you know, it's nothing. So, but that's a concern in the beginning, you know. This is such a, I don't know if it's radical, but it's just it's not mainstream yet. So that was a challenge, or a perceived challenge. I do remember feeling like in the very beginning, probably the first month, when I'm only eating, you know, beef, and I think I was still having some cravings in the very beginning for sugar and stuff. And I thought, you know, my life is over. I'm never going to be able to eat normally again. I've ruined myself. You know, I'm not eating, you know, I'm never going to be able to enjoy life again. And I haven't missed all of these things that I thought brought me so much joy. And I also try to think about, you know, day to day. The only way I was able to get through this is just taking it one day at a time. That's how I have to deal with everything. I can only get through today. And today, you know, this is what I'm eating, and then we can worry about tomorrow when you wake up tomorrow. So next steps. I have successfully reintroduced bacon, successfully reintroduced chicken. I haven't decided if I want to reintroduce liquid dairy or cheese, which one I want to reintroduce, but that's going to be next week. It might give me a little bit of issues with my skin, but because I have that, you know, because I do have a background of rosacea, I think it's important, if you do want to start to do this, to remember to keep it simple. You don't need a whole bunch of these things. Don't be like me and buy every single thing on a carnivore. You know, you really don't need anything. If you can get ground beef, eggs, butter, salt, you know, water, coffee. I did coffee, and just go from there. You want to keep it simple. Simple doesn't mean easy. If you keep it simple, you can replicate it over and over and over. I do not have a problem eating the same thing over and over. And I don't have a problem not having lots of different types of food. I don't obsess about food. I don't constantly think about what's my next meal. So just keep it simple. Remember, your body is a complex working system, and it's very resilient. I just really remember that from, you know, when I had to have surgery for my ear and had to relearn, you know, coordination and how to walk again. You can learn more about that in this video.